Hey everyone, I thought I'd just reach out and just give another quick update about what's going on with me and what sort of magic I've been working on. I haven't done as much Enochian lately. I did do a big working in terms of the number of angels I called. I called two zodiacal kings and to heptarchical kings, as well as their princes and subjects, governors, and ministers. And that went relatively well. Just trying to clear out some stuff that had sort of been building up uh, as a problem in my life. So that went relatively well. Already seeing some good effects with that, so I just think I just needed to tackle that pretty directly. Uh, the next thing that I've been doing is I've been working with some non-Enochian entities, and this is just, it's funny because I remember hearing on a podcast somebody who was working with Enochian, and he mentioned about how he reached this point where whatever it was he was going after, I want to say this was on Glitch Bottle. So shout out to Alexander F. Um, that the practitioner was reaching this point where he could no longer get the things that Enochian angels were good at. The Enochian angels said, "Look, we can't do this. So if you want to do the thing you're looking to do, you're going to need to work with the Olympic spirits." So he says, "Okay," and he starts working with them. I'm paraphrasing, of course. So this actually happened to me when I was working, when I was looking to work with the Enochian angels as far as dreams went. I said, okay, I'd like to do this, and just kind of informally just asking them, and they said, you know, this isn't really something that we're as good at, which was kind of surprising. It almost makes me wonder, some of the just whether or not the Kabbalah can cover everything, because the Enochian, in a lot of ways, seems like a precursor to some of the structure. Definitely not all of the Kabbalah. It predates the Kabbalah predates Enochian, but I, but it does make me wonder, what either I need to look deeper into angels of dreams that have some Kabbalistic tie-in, or just generally whether or not this is what Enochian can do. There's more Kabbalistic stuff over here which might cover dreams, but there's also maybe this whole other area up here that covers dreams that Kabbalah may or may not be a part of. So I don't know. But rather than becoming a huge expert in this, I'd rather do something a little bit faster. I suppose I could have called an angel, and maybe I'll do that next time. But in the meantime, I was told by the Enochian angels that it would be fine if I worked with some of these entities. So I looked up a deity called Mamu, who was Sumerian. I believe it's Sumerian. Let me just check real quickly here. Goddess associated with dreams. Oh, let me see. I even have that tab open. Mesopotamian. So is what she's listed as. So a more general. In Sumerian is the derivation of her name. So anyway, this is a picture I found on Etsy because there wasn't an actual. Normally, I would want a picture of a statue of the original thing, but this is somebody who had an artistic representation of Mamu that came through, and they were able to draw it up. I didn't buy the Etsy thing, although I would encourage you, if you have the means, to support the artist. I don't have the means right now. But that's okay. I also have a couple of other deities, just really quickly looking at them here. One of the Oneroi, or known as a singular Oneros, and then Morpheus over here. So I've just begun petitioning them. And, the Enochian angels gave me their leave to do that. So I went with that. And now, as far as like, how does this translate into a whole cosmology or theology? Basically, I look at, I'm not going to call them minor gods per se, but God with a lowercase g, let's put it that way, as being one manifestation of the overall divine with a capital D. So that's what I did. And I've been dreaming more. There's no doubt about that. I think I had to be a little bit more specific about what I was looking for in terms of results. But I basically said, try to make it less painful, protect me from nightmares. And they're aware of that. And so what happened was I started sleeping a bit more, which is kind of not what I wanted. So today I sort of changed up what I'm asking for. Say, hey, please bless my dreams, but don't give me more sleep than I otherwise need, right? So we'll see what happens, and that I'll tie into my update physically in a bit. But yeah, it's gone relatively well. I had one where I was arguing with my mom, my late mother. She was difficult for me and my sisters, to put it mildly. So each of us apparently have had dreams like that. But what's funny is that that development that I requested psychologically, well, that happened, right? Or mentally, psychically, if you're going to be real technical. I wasn't doing a study with science and all that. I just wanted a mental development, a psychic cognitive, a mental development is a better way to put it nowadays, I suppose. But it was interesting that I did have a development in terms of like each one of us is sort of going through a similar thing emotionally. And that was pretty cool. Not cool that we're having this argument where we're having these confrontational dreams, but it was nice to know that I'm not alone, and that what's going on with me is kind of normal. That my sisters are also going through that, and basically the four of us, we're the only ones who will have that experience to reflect on. But what was interesting is that I wouldn't classify it as a nightmare per se. I got up and I was arguing with her, just like really up in her face, which is not something, I have like all those thoughts in an instant that I could argue with somebody about, but I've become, Mercury and Mars conjunct in Aries, but I have learned to like dial it back, chill out, blah, blah, blah. And so anyway, the argument was, it wasn't something that that was as emotionally upsetting, right? It was like I was having that argument, blah, blah, blah. But it didn't take as much of an emotional toll. So it wasn't like a nightmare. And so they came through with that, is what I'm trying to say. So just be aware, right, that when you're working with, and different entities are going to do different things. I specifically requested kind of a dream that allows the future from Mamu. I requested that she give me a Mahmud, which is a specific kind of dream that may or may not be able to change the future, right? So at least this is what I get from Wikipedia, and I'm not an expert. I just go forward. I do what I can, I go forward, and then that's that. So just as an overall note, I would say just be advised that, hey, if a spirit says, if you're working with something that has worked for you in the past, with the system, let's say, that's worked for you in the past, and they give you leave to do that, that's fine. And then it's just up to you as a magician to say, okay, how should I go about this? What would be a wise way of approaching this? What do I want them to do? What's the charge, but also what's the injunction? What do I want them to not do? Right? So give me dreams, help me develop through my dreams, but don't give me nightmares. It's not fun having a nightmare. And basically I said minimal pain, but like sometimes, it's like the thing you don't want to hear can be painful, and you still need to hear it, right? If you've been doing the X, Y, or Z, or somebody's doing X, Y, or Z to you, which is negative, either you need to stop or you need to realize that they are causing a problem for you. So that's what's going on with me there. I did the aforementioned working, which, just for what it's worth, was financial in nature. And I've also gotten some magical, I got a talisman, I bought a talisman, and I bought some oil, both of which are supposed to try to like remediate some issues. I have, in addition to Mars and Mercury in Aries, I also have Venus in Aries, which is not as good because Venus in Aries rules my natal sun and my natal moon, which are conjunct in Taurus. So I asked some people, what do you think? Which of these planets would you remediate? And they did recommend Venus, but also they recommended Saturn, which, even though it's not the malefic out of sect, which would normally be the most problematic planet, it's still in the not best condition in the second house and peregrine. So I bought like a simpler thing to take care of that. So we'll see what happens, and I will report back and let you know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Regarding the ongoing coup in the United States. Look, I don't know what to say about this, except, do what you can. If you can protest, great. If you're working for the government, you can certainly slow a lot of this attempted stuff down so that the media can catch up and the opposition can catch up and the protests can catch up. But if you're in a position like me where that's just not on the table due to health concerns, stuff like that, do what you can to take care of each other, and be there, reach out to somebody who maybe you haven't heard from in a long time. Maybe they've got problems. These are things that, regardless of whether or not it's successful here, it is something to, you'll need it regardless, right? We need community regardless of whether or not that happens, but you'll especially need it if the coup is successful. So that's that. I've already mentioned in my Enochian 450 video what you can do about that. I don't know what to say except, use wisdom, pray for the highest wisdom. One of the things that I chose to do, rather than necessarily directly counter the forces that are going on, I did ask for, I called on King Benapsen, and I asked him to cast out the wicked spirits that may be behind this. But I also recognized the following day, thanks to the spirits who are around me and are like giving me, stuff that I hadn't thought of before, is I said, oh, those spirits are beings too, right? And this is more of a Buddhist, kind of thing that I have going on. We have to think about all sentient beings, right? So what I did as a compromise with this, thinking about that and like, how would I help? I first called on Tara number 6. If you go to buddhaweekly.com and just look her up, she's great. What she does is she gets rid of negativity, purifies negativity, I think is the phrase here. What's the phrase here? Yeah, she purifies all obscurations and negativities. So she was great for that. So I wanted that. And then I also called on Tara, 21, who can take beings to the Pure Land, where they can thereby have a better chance of being reincarnated as a Buddha. So 2 acts of compassion. 1, get rid of the negativity surrounding these beings that have this accumulated karma, and then give them a chance to go and have a better rebirth. And on top of that, I also thought about some of the collective anxiety that's going on in the US. And, I go through it too. There's a period where I tend to freeze, and that's just how it is. So what I did as far as that goes is it was, fortunate timing. This is where calling on Tara, Tara 12, I think it is. Just go to Buddha Weekly, look up Buddha Weekly and Surya Gupta. If I remember, I'll put it in the notes. But I've been doing a lot of chanting for her for auspicious circumstances. And sure enough, not only, some prosperity working with those Enochian angels, but also the auspicious circumstances, which is things fell into place at the right time. So as I cast out the spirits, so therefore I took on some karma. I did some stuff to resolve that karma or resolve their karma, and then also the following day, I happened to turn on Tara Mandala's Lama Tsultrim Alione, who is an emanation of Machig Labdron, or Labdrun, depending on how you pronounce that, a Tibetan nun who lived in the 12th century, 11th and 12th centuries, lived a very long time. But really, she has Lama Tsultrim Alione has a practice called feeding your demons. Now, I didn't like that, which is why I avoided it for a while. But I'm like, well, okay, I was, on the treadmill. I said, let me just give it a shot. And it turned out I kind of liked it after I sort of figured out where she was coming from. And really, it was like giving them what they need, as opposed to, making them bigger or stronger. Instead, giving them what they need, and then thereby, energetically, and thereby they, can suddenly are acting way different, right? And this reminds me of Ramsey Dukes. He talks about how, it's like if a child is upset, we think of demons as they say, oh, I gotta banish him, blah, blah, blah. But if you think of them instead as, what if it's when you have an upset child, you don't just send them to their room, right? Or if they're acting out or whatever, why, if you're wise, you'll say, okay, let me talk to you. Let me see what's going on here. And can you tell me what's going on? And it turns out they're hungry, or it turns out somebody really hurt their feelings, or maybe their parents fought, or whatever the case may be. But that whole idea of like, how can we resolve the actual need of the child, or the need of the demon, or the need of whatever it is. So that's something that I've incorporated in elements from what she mentioned. So feeding your demons, FYD, is her main practice, or one of the things she's known for, I should say. So these are all just kind of little bits and pieces, thoughts about how to handle the current situation you're in, but also thinking about like just generally a more magical approach to things, to where you run up against a boundary and say, okay, well, maybe this brick wall isn't something that I need to run into. Instead, I can do a turn, provided you get permission, right? It's sort of like, you can't drive. Let's say you're on a road and the road has a toll, and so you can try to just like drive around it, or you can do the thing which is to pay the toll, right? So in this case, you may not, if you want to avoid the toll road, you have to take a different road, right? So either the toll is you don't get the thing that you want, or you avoid that cost by taking a different route. And it's legal to avoid a toll road. You just have to take a longer, slower route, right? At least in the US. So anyway, that's just an overview, some thoughts about what's going on. As far as me personally, my update is I am still pretty tired. Even beyond working with these entities, I'm still getting fatigue, needing naps, stuff like that. I'm wondering whether or not this is a post-shingles syndrome, a chronic fatigue syndrome. So my doctor and healthcare provider have not allowed me to get a shingles virus because I'm too young. And basically that would mean that I would need another 4 years, yes, now you know how old I am, of being tired until I was old enough to get the shingles vaccine. And that was unacceptable to me. And rather than go around trying to find a doctor who would give me permission to get the vaccine for shingles, especially now with Robert F. Kennedy kind of coming in, who's very anti-vaccine, I am instead getting chickenpox vaccine, even though I've already had chickenpox, mainly to try to just get my immune system to maybe more to target the virus that is in my cells, because sometimes, what can happen with other things, and this is just an experiment, I don't know that this will work, but I might as well do it since I can take advantage of, my health insurance. The main reason for doing this is then, if there are some viruses that have a viral reservoir in the body, and that's actually the cause of some long-term problems. You get this with like long COVID, but other things like this too. And of course, shingles itself is chickenpox. It's the same chickenpox virus. It just has a different syndrome. It lies dormant in your body for a while. So I'm like, well, at the very least, maybe I can keep those viral reservoir numbers down, or the dormant virus levels down, by getting a chickenpox vaccine now. So I've already had my first dose. The next one is coming up in 2 weeks. So I was told by the angels 3 days after that I should be in better shape. So I'm really counting on that coming true. I'm hoping that that is the case. And I definitely have faith in God first, and definitely a lot of faith in the angels too. So I'm looking forward to that. It's just, I hate having to wait for it, but that's the way it goes. So anyway, I just thought I'd give an overall look behind the curtain, and just let me know how you're doing. I'd really like to hear if you have any questions or just want to share what's going on. I always like hearing from y'all. Emotionally, I'm still kind of in a weird place. My mother's passing last year was not the only thing that happened recently. And I'm not going to elaborate too much on it, except to say that it's been hard, and I really wish some things were different, but that's just how it is, and we have to learn and to take joy as best we can, so anyway, that's it. I really appreciate all of you, and I love all of you, and I will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.